So why are so many Christians upset with what the current Pope is doing? So much so that I've noticed on Twitter, you now have like a denomination within the denomination. Like there's Catholics, which are a Christian denomination, calling themselves, I'm not a papist. Right? So now you have like a schism within the believers of the Catholic faith that are basically saying, yeah, he's not the vicar of Christ. And so you gotta wonder, like, well, what the fuck is the vicar of Christ doing that he actually upset so many of the faithful? And when you're looking at it on the surface, it doesn't seem like he's doing anything bad, right? I mean, he's spreading compassion and empathy, which is what Jesus would do if he was the Pope, right? Like, I don't think, like, Jesus would be this person that encourages mistreatment of anyone. Yet, for some reason, people dislike it. Right? And as you can see here, the Pope is slamming on ever more inhuman immigration crackdowns. He is saying that Catholic nationalists are on a collision course with the Vatican. He is decrying grave crimes and mistreatment of migrants. And migrant morality. Pope doubles down on message of acceptance. Right? And so, like, again, like, on the surface, it sounds just like the thing that made Christianity spread. It's compassionate, empathetic. Like, this is why people converted to Christianity. Because in a world where most religions weren't like that, you now have a religion that's about love and tolerance. Like, most people didn't convert to Christianity because they believed, oh, this is going to make my nation strong. No, they converted to Christianity because they said, well, I want to live in a society where everyone is loving and compassionate. And more importantly, they converted because they believed that it would save their souls, right? And so, why are people upset with the Pope? And the answer is that when you actually look at what's happening, you realize his policies are de-Christianizing Europe. And he is not very concerned about it. So if he was like a genuine Pope, you know, like a medieval Pope, it's not that he wouldn't be fine with migration. He probably would, but what he would expect is that every single migrant seeking political asylum in Europe would convert to Christianity. Doesn't that make sense? I mean, if you're seeking political asylum in another nation and the nation says, yeah, sure, we'll give you a welfare state. We're going to help you have a roof over the top of your head. You're going to be in a migrant hotel. We're going to do everything possible in order to find you a job. But you gotta convert. You gotta convert to Christianity because, well, if we want the blessing of the Pope, which is the institution that gets to shape morality, right? Like reminds us of the universal morality from the Catholic Church. The Pope said, yeah, like he's okay with mass migration, but he wants people to convert. So like if you bring, I mean, it's mathematics, right? If you bring non-Christians into a place with Christians, like the percentage of Christianity dilutes. Doesn't it? Huh? Am I not good with math? And this is assuming that the people you're bringing, they're not trying to deconvert your Christians. They're not trying to bring other morals that lead the flock astray. And so if the Pope was like legitimately like the previous popes, which I understand he should be, right? Because like that's the whole shtick with the popes. It's like they have a direct line to Saint Peter, and they carry the wisdom of the original Pope all the way to today. And if they were to be aligned in mentality, well, this is what the current Pope would be doing. Like, he would be saying, yeah, sure, you know, bring them in. And he would need to have at every single refugee center, he would need to have a priest in order to start baptisms. Like, there should be a water shortage in Europe based on how many baptisms would take place. But we're not seeing that. Do you know where we saw that, though? Like, do you know where, like, for once in my lifetime, I saw a priest wanting to baptize the infidel? In America, in an ICE facility, right? Like, you had an ICE facility that was arresting rapists and murderers, and because, like, that's the thing, like, they were going after the easy targets, you know, the ones that nobody sane would complain. It's like nobody gets upset if a human trafficker gets arrested by ICE and he is facing deportation. You know, like, no one with the sane brain wants to live next to someone like that. And so, like, there was this ice facility where those types of people were being held under guard. And that's when that's when a priest wanted to give baptisms. Like, he didn't want to go to Europe, he didn't want to go to other refugee centers. No, that's the place that he chose. Which, again, like, morally speaking, is not something wrong. And I don't think, like, hold on, my bad, because I'm exaggerating, I'm spreading you false info. He wasn't wanting to give baptism, he was wanting to take confessions. And again, like, like, having a priest taking confessions is not a wrong thing, but, like, shouldn't it be systemic, right? Like, shouldn't the Pope come out and say, yeah, like, what this priest was doing wasn't bad, but it should happen everywhere? No. It's almost like, it's a selective outrage in order to sabotage any single attempt of reinstating national sovereignty. Because you can't have a house without walls, right? And you can't have a nation without borders. Like these people saying no borders, no nations. If America was to drive tanks over Mexico, they would immediately realize where the border is. If America was going to enforce American law into Mexico, I mean, they're already doing that in Venezuela, aren't they? Right? Like, America was drone striking some Venezuelan ships, and immediately the leftists were hyper aware about borders and international waters and all of that. And so, again, people are noticing that, hold on a little bit, it's a grift, right? And it doesn't seem that the Pope is actually interested in spreading religion. Okay, so, like, migrants are coming in. Where's the priest being sent to the migrant centers? Where's the priests showing some concerns that, okay, I live in Birmingham, and my population is either leaving or they're converting to Islam. This is a problem. How do we fix it, right? But more importantly, notice how he doesn't offer a solution to the problem. He's basically saying, okay, well, I mean, he must understand because he has advisors, right? Like, and he's from America. So it's not like this is a pope that has absolutely no idea what's going on. And he knows that under the Biden administration, the borders are wide open, and he knows that criminals were coming in. Unlike me, he actually has advisors that show him the original stats with exact percentages. And for some reason, he doesn't seem concerned about that. He's being concerned when the law is being enforced. But he's not offering an alternative solution. It's like, okay, the current Trump administration is doing horrible crackdowns on innocent people. All right, fine. Like, Christians don't like it. I get it. What is the other solution then? How do you deport millions of people, especially the ones that have other criminal records? Like human trafficking, drug dealing, right? Like, what do you do with them? Why isn't the church offering to, voluntarily convince them to go back? And so this is why people are upset. And of course, the church as a Catholic institution, like, you gotta understand that, I mean, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? Usually throughout European history, the church has consistently sided with the nobility, right? Ever since the French Revolution, when the peasants were starving, and I mean, they were noticing the nobles having parties and luxurious entertainment, and eventually, there's the assembly that's called, and the peasants have one vote, the aristocrats have one vote, and the clergy had one. And so, whenever the peasants wanted reforms, the clergy and the aristocrats voted against the peasants. Why? Because the church was also, at the time, one of the biggest holders of land in Europe. Like, they own massive properties, right? And they were being defended by the nobility. And so, that was democracy back then. And the peasants didn't like that. They rebelled against the aristocrats. And that's why, during the French Revolutions, they attacked the churches. Because they viewed that the church was lying to them and was hand in hand with the aristocrats. And that's the first time you get atheism in Europe. You actually get the cult of reason, they called it. And this is happening after the Black Death, after many aristocrats and priests die. And so, like, they're losing control of their societies and stuff. But you wouldn't have gotten the French Revolution if the clergy would have actually voted with the peasants, right? And so we don't have nobility now, but what we do have, we have CEOs, we have government leaders, we got billionaires like George Soros, like Jeff Bezos, and the church, as usual, is siding with them. Right? So this is why the Pope is doing these things. It's because this is the agenda. This is how you make money in 2025, right? This is why the Pope is an environmentalist. The whole concept of carbon being a sin, and the whole concept of taxing carbon in Europe is pretty much the same like an indulgence tax. Like, for those of you that don't know, in Catholicism during medieval time, they had this concept called an indulgence tax. You want to drink alcohol, you pay an indulgence tax. You want to gamble, you pay an indulgence tax. You want to go to a brothel, you pay an indulgence tax, right? Like, the church created this very cheap product to manufacture called salvation, and you have to pay for it, right? So, like, the concept of a carbon tax is literally the same. It's like, oh, you want to drive a car, you pay the carbon tax. You want to smoke, pay the carbon tax, right? Any type of vice, pay the carbon tax. And also, when you realize that carbon is required in almost every single human activity, you realize that by controlling carbon, you're actually controlling the industry without calling it socialism. And that's the modern grift of today, right? Like, you have the rich people, the aristocrats, the billionaires, the people in Brussels, the CEOs, doing the grift, and the church makes sure that people don't morally rise up against it, right? Because if you had an actual pope like the one during World War II, or the one after World War II, during the Cold War, and they would actually consistently vocalize against this type of behavior, and they would bring Christian arguments and whatnot, it would be extremely difficult for the world leaders to control the narrative. Because, social media is kind of new. I mean, it's a recent invention, and all of us think that politics are done on social media. But before social media, you have the church, and there are still people in Europe that go to church every single Sunday. There's still people in rural areas that view the church as the pillar of their community. And if you actually went there and the priest started bombarding you with Alex Jones takes, because like that's what the bishop tells him to preach, you'd see a population that's less likely to be compliant. You'd see a farmer protest every single month in Brussels, right? And so the rich do need the church to be on their side. Again, not because like the church is necessarily promoting their bullshit, which in some cases it actually is, but because they want the church to shut the fuck up. And so this is why a lot of Christians are extremely disappointed with what they are seeing. But more interestingly, notice the framing, right? Like, this is also fascinating. He's not even saying Pope Leo decries the grave sin, right? Like, he's not talking as a theologian. He's not talking about souls anymore. He's talking about like secularism. He's saying the grave crime. Again, like the language is very important. Like the framework, right? Like when you say things like this, you're legitimizing and normalizing leftist commentary, right? You don't look at the mistreatment of immigrants as a sin, which, by the way, would also be a little bit difficult to justify from a Catholic point of view, because again, like the Catholics don't just believe in the Bible, they also believe in the previous papal bulls, and they believe in tradition and rituals and how other people treated non-believers, right? And so again, like in a medieval society, he wouldn't say mistreatment of immigrants, he would say something like allowing non-Christians to be treated equally with Christians in a society ruled by Christianity. In Europe, for instance, right? Like, he would have to condemn the CDU on a daily basis. I mean, the CDU in Germany is the Christian Democrats, right? So, like, where's your Christianity? Why aren't you converting these people? Where's your missionary wing? Why aren't you sending missionaries to convert all these migrants and stuff? And notice how he's calling out the grave mistreatment of immigrants, but he's not calling out the immigrants doing criminal activity. He's not calling out the human traffickers. He's not calling out the drug dealers. He's not calling out any of them. Anyway, I think I rambled enough, but hopefully people now have the arguments to explain why what the Pope is doing is not okay with Catholics, because on the surface it's difficult to articulate, right? Like if you go to somebody and you say, well, the Pope doesn't like the mistreatment of immigrants. That's very difficult to argue against, right? Because it's like, well, I mean, Jesus wouldn't mistreat immigrants, and it's like, yes, sure, right? And previous popes probably wouldn't as well, but why is the Pope supporting the de-Christianization of Europe? And by the way, like, it's one thing if the de-Christianization happens naturally, because it is what it is, like in England, for instance, right? People just stop believing. That's a failure of the church. That's a failure of the previous generation of Christians that maybe were too soft, or maybe they were too hard. Like, that's also an explanation. Like, sometimes trying to nag people to death with something, or trying to make sure that your ideology is in every aspect of their life, like the woke did, right? Where they pushed wokeness in everything, in sports, and video games, and Hollywood movies, like everything was woke. Everything had the rainbow. If you do that, like at some point, the new generation will hate you. And they will do the opposite, right? So like you push too hard. Other times, if you push too little, same thing happens, right? So it's a difficult balance. And so like what's happening in England, like the de-Christianization in England, okay, well, I can understand, like that requires a different focus. And it's also not in the domain of the Pope, because England is not majority Catholic. But still, what I'm trying to say is that if it happens naturally, it's one thing. But when you notice it's not naturally, when you notice it's artificially, when you notice that the people constantly vote against it in a democratic society, and, you know, the legitimacy comes from the will of the people now, and basically, like, it's more like grassroots, right? Like, the church should influence the people, and then the people, with the morals that they got, they anoint their representatives, right? Like, this is a bottom-up view of the way society works. Then you kind of get what the Pope is doing wrong, okay? Let me know what you guys think, and I also have a live stream every single day. I'm noticing the numbers are down. For some reason, YouTube has completely stopped advertising my live stream. So if you guys are interested, there's a link right into the pinned comment. By clicking it, you can subscribe to my channel. And hopefully you can let me know if you get notified. Because, again, I don't know what's up. Like, notifications are going. My DMs are filled, basically. People just saying, it's like, oh, V, you live streamed today? I didn't know. And I'm like, what? You didn't know? Anyway, right. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.